Hey everyone, it's Elaine. So in this video, I want to talk about doomsday cults. Um, and then I also want to talk about, I'm going to graduate soon, and in March. And eventually I'll become a therapist where I can start seeing clients. So if you've been a viewer of mine and you want to work with me and you're in the San Diego area, I'd love for us to work together, next year when I already have my therapist license, so that, so we can start collaborating, and we could do telehealth or in-person sessions. But anyway, in regard to doomsday cults, that is a term that I have discovered recently, and the cult that I grew up in, and I'm sure most of you are aware since you watch the ones that watch my videos, is the Iglesia Ni Cristo. I would consider it and classify it as a doomsday cult. So when we say doomsday, the name kind of speaks for itself, but there is a large emphasis on Judgment Day. The end times are coming, the end times are coming, the end times are coming. So I heard that message a lot when I was younger, and what happens to someone who keeps hearing those repeated messages, especially if they have grown up in a doomsday cult, the amygdala, which is a part of your brain, it's part of the emotional center of the brain, that is responsible for detecting danger, perceiving danger, even if that danger is perceived, like it's not actually in line with reality, or if it's real. So imagine hearing, doomsday cult religious messages for so long, and there is a lot of fear, that comes with that. So that's why you'll see some cult members who are reacting from their emotional brain get very triggered or defensive when their faith is, called into question, or when someone who is doubting will offend them, and basically, they may react with rage, or fear. That's why you'll see a lot of the times, with the cult that I grew up in, a lot of negative backlash, and how I did a commentary on that documentary about the Iglesia Ni Cristo, and reporters wanting to inquire about a lot of the hidden agenda behind the administration, and then you saw someone react by slashing the reporter's tires. So with doomsday cults, that type of thinking, when you do try to leave, someone may experience post-traumatic stress disorder. And it's very typical to someone that is leaving a DV relationship, even if that relationship was just purely emotional, there's no physical abuse. And when you think of doomsday cults, most of the time it is emotional abuse. Sometimes we'll see sexual abuse in doomsday cults. And when we're thinking about cults, like really extreme cults that practice, mass suicide, that's more on the far end of the spectrum. But doomsday cults, like I said, they really emphasize that the end is near, the end times are coming, be on guard, and that's why the threat detection center of their brain may be enlarged and may be more sensitive to arousal that triggers them. The thought of leaving the church, it's so deeply embedded. It's so deeply embedded into the brain. And that's why people may experience dissociation as a symptom as well. Not feeling connected to their bodies when they leave, because when you grow up in a doomsday cult, you're not taught to be in the present moment. You're taught to always be future oriented. This is not, we are not of this world. And we have to wait for Judgment Day, or if you don't go, you're gonna burn in the lake of fire. Like, imagine hearing that as a 6-year-old child. Like, if you don't obey, You will go and burn in the lake of fire, and it's very literal thinking. And when you're at that age, children are concrete thinkers. So not thinking in the abstract, they're thinking literally. I'm literally gonna burn in this lake if I do not submit. So that, and then once you start reaching an age where you are taught to think outside the box and you are taught to look at things in a more abstract way, not so literally, that's when you start seeing the confusion and the cognitive, like they call it it's like this not cognitive distortions, but you start to really get confused about your identity because that called into question. So it goes very deep. Church hurt, that's a new term. It's, you know, there's a lot of people walking around with church hurt, and there's a lot of people walking around with church hurt who could have underlying, lingering post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms. And the one way to treat church hurt and to treat religious trauma is by speaking to a licensed therapist, because there are not a lot of counselors or licensed clinicians that specialize in this area. It's a very narrow focused area, but it's very, very similar to working with survivors of domestic violence, because the mechanisms of control and power are at the foundation of each, you know, relationship. Your relationship with your cult and your relationship with your partner. And that's why a lot of therapeutic modalities will work well for both clients. So you might have someone that has just left a doomsday cult and someone that has just left a domestic violence relationship. They might have symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, especially if they weren't taught to have self-compassion or positive self-talk. A lot of the times these survivors will experience a lot of guilt, a lot of self-blame. They'll internalize that and end up having somatic symptoms. They might end up having depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, like all those things. So a lot of the time when working with clients who have trauma backgrounds, helping them with cognitive distortions, the self-blame, the self-inflicted, you know, wounds that they put on themselves, and a lot of self-compassion, a lot of positive self-talk. And sometimes those wounds are so deep, like actually in the cells of the body, that they may need a lot of somatic work. That looks like Reiki, that looks like EMDR, which is specifically for trauma survivors. And that might look like somatic processing, somatic experiencing, because a lot of the times you want to help the client return to a sense of wholeness, return to their body, and let them know that they're safe. And once you can do that, then you really know that you're on the path to healing. So I just wanted to make this short video for you guys. Doomsday Cult, look it up. I think the INC fits the bill. When I do graduate next year and you have been watching my videos and you'd love to be a client of mine, I'm thinking like around April, that's when I'll be good to go and set and we can start working together. And I hope you all are doing well, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye.